Greetings fellow gorehounds and welcome back to another Blood Splattered vlog. So I just got back from 47 Meters Below, a movie that I have admittedly been mocking ever since I first saw the trailer a few months back. I'm not even sure what it was, just a combination of the fact that it was yet another shark survival movie in the vein of The Reef or Open Water. And there was just something about the way the trailer itself was constructed that just came across as unintentionally comical to me. But I heard from a few trusted friends that the movie is actually really damn good and I should leave my expectations at the door and give it a chance. So I tried to go into this movie with an open mind, and I'm happy to report that I was dead wrong about this movie. It's a fucking anxiety attack of a movie, a total fucking thrill ride that had me like holding my breath throughout huge chunks of it. I have a pretty big complaint about the last act, but outside of that, this movie had me at the edge of my seat for most of its running time. And hell, even the CGI sharks in this movie actually look really fucking believable. Or at least I totally bought it, and it totally made me jump out of my seat multiple times. That's not to say this movie is jump scare after jump scare. This movie has a whole bunch of tension and release, and not all the releases are jump scares. But the ones that are jump scares are really fucking effective. And shocker of shockers, I legitimately actually cared about the two sisters in this movie. I cared about their relationship to one another, I cared about their reasons for going out on this trip in the first place, and I also really cared about seeing them both make it out alive. And this is done mainly through the fact that I care about how much they care about each other. They felt like real siblings, and having siblings myself, I could relate to them on that level. Now on the downside, like I said a second ago, there is a part of the last act of this movie that really doesn't work for me. And really that part is kind of the twist of the movie, which is why I can't talk about it pre-spoilers. But because they telegraph the twist really early on in the movie, when you know it's gonna happen, all of a sudden all the tension in the last act is completely drained. Which is really a fucking shame, because for 2/3 of this movie, this is one of the most tense movies I've seen all year. But even with that one problem, this movie is still damn good, and I still recommend it. Anyway, my fellow gorehounds, I don't know if the warning is even warranted here, but there are sharks that are hurt over the course of this movie. I'm pretty sure none of you care about that because it's not fluffy and cute, but just in case, you've been warned. And since this movie is currently in theaters, I don't think there's actually an Amazon affiliate link for it yet, but I'm gonna put some sort of Amazon affiliate link in the description anyway, and hopefully it'll be related to the movie like the soundtrack or something, and you can click that, and if you buy it through that, I, of course, will get a kickback from it. And with all that said, my fellow gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers. Alrighty then, so this spoiler section is probably not going to be as in-depth as other spoilers for the simple fact that this is a really straightforward movie. Basically, at the beginning of this movie, you have these two sisters that are on vacation in Mexico, and it turns out one of them is extremely hurt because her boyfriend had left her before they went on the trip. But thankfully, her sister doesn't accept all this moping around and instead takes her out partying to meet guys. And they do, they meet these two utterly attractive locals who invite them to go out scuba diving with them the next day. Well, not really scuba diving, more like shark diving. In a motherfucking shark tank. No wait, shark tanks hold sharks. A shark cage. Anyway, the main character is not at all comfortable with this. She does not like taking risks in the slightest. But as her sister points out, that's part of the reason her boyfriend left her. She was pretty boring. At least that's the reason she gave her sister for why her boyfriend left her. So what would be the opposite of boring? Well, how about scuba diving with sharks? So after much hesitation, she agrees, and they go out with the boys onto this boat to go shark diving. But oh shit, something goes terribly wrong, and the crane that holds the shark tank breaks, and they go falling right into the bottom of the fucking ocean. Oh shit, the crane has landed on top of the cage, and so we can't open the door to get out of the cage. So we have this pretty intense scene where the sister removes her oxygen tank and squeezes through the bars of the cage to remove the crane. Which she does, and then she swims up high enough to get in range of their comms. And once the people in the boat find out that they're still alive down there, they send someone down to rescue them. But oh shit, the person who came down to save them seems to have stopped in the middle of nowhere. They can see his flashlight, but he's not moving anymore. But of course at this point, after removing the crane and all that, the sister's oxygen tank is extremely fucking low, so the main character has to man up, so to speak, and get out of the cage and swim out to the rescue party. But oh shit, the guy's fucking dead! He's been fucking eaten by the sharks! But she does get a hold of the extra crane cord that was brought down with the rescue guy in order to attach to the cage and bring it back up. So she swims back, and all the while she has to outmaneuver this fucking shark in this extremely intense chase sequence. She attaches the crane, and then they start to be lifted up, and holy shit, they're gonna survive this. But they get to about 20 meters, and the crane breaks again, and they go tumbling back down. But this time the cage lands on top of the main character's leg. So the sister has to get out of the cage again to swim up high enough to get back in comm range. And when she does, she tells them that the cage broke again, and so the guy says that, okay, I alerted the Coast Guard, they're gonna be here in an hour. They'll bring a whole bunch of badasses with a whole bunch of anti-shark weaponry like harpoon guns. But until then, you're not gonna have enough air to survive, so I'm gonna drop down extra tanks. So he does, and he puts a little beacon on them so they can see it blinking. Oh yeah, and by the way, we didn't originally send this extra tank down because if you have too much of this, you might start to hallucinate, so be warned. The sister grabs the tanks, and remember, she's extremely low, so she is running out of oxygen as she tries to attach new oxygen. And holy shit, this is one of the best sequences in the movie, from the way it's shot, from the way it's edited, to the way the fucking sound design is. I'm sitting there as she's removing her tank and attaching the other one and having all these problems, and I realize I am not breathing myself. I am sitting here watching this goddamn movie, literally holding my own breath until she can breathe. And when she does, I let out a huge fucking sigh of relief and was like, holy shit, this scene got me. There's not even a jump scare in it, but it fucking got me. And then she starts swimming back to bring the other tank to her sister, but then she gets attacked by a shark on the way. And when I say attacked, she's fucking grabbed by the fucking face and dragged off. Just fucking brutally, oh my god, this girl is fucking dead. But it's fucking good. The movie did this really fucking well. I cared when this character died. And she could have easily been someone I gave no shits about. Now, I know it sounds like I didn't describe a lot, but everything I just described is basically the first 2/3 of the movie. Because this is a movie that draws out its tension really fucking well, so really small scenes become really big scenes. In a way, you could say this is a movie that does a whole lot with very little. But this is also the point in the movie where I start to have a problem with it, and let me explain why. So after the sister is dragged off by the shark, the oxygen tank lands right next to the cage. And the main character, whose leg is stuck under the cage, has to fasten this thing in order to grab the tank and drag it to her. And we have another intense sequence where her tank has run completely out, and so she's trying to frantically change it into this new tank. And then once she does, she sighs in relief and then gets a message from her sister through the comms. Apparently her sister is alive, but she's dying of her wounds. So the main character freaks out and uses her floaty vest that she gets at the beginning of the movie and inflates it so that it can lift up the cage so she can get her leg out. She swims out and finds her sister and then swims her up to comm range, where the man in the boat tells them how to swim up and stop and decompress enough so that they don't get oxygen bubbles in their brains. And they've been using these flares to ward off the sharks, but one of them runs out, so she cracks open another one and realizes, oh shit, we're surrounded by like 4 sharks. So they start swimming and they start kicking and the sharks are coming after them and they're trying to dodge. And eventually they get to the surface, but then one of the sharks grabs the main character's leg and starts to pull her down, but she shoves her finger into his eye like a fucking badass. They get to the boat and then they're pulled up into the boat and then they're getting medical attention and then, oh wait, hold on, it was all a dream. Turns out ever since she put in the new oxygen, she's been hallucinating her sister being alive, and that's not true. Now here's the problem, because they warned us early on that, oh, you might hallucinate if you have this extra tank, the moment her sister's voice came in on the comm after her supposed death, yeah, I was like, this is like that scene in Gravity where George Clooney shows up after he's died. But unlike Gravity, where it was very obvious a dream sequence, in this, they're trying to trick you. So in a sense, they're essentially doing the original ending to The Descent. Except in The Descent, it actually does trick you. It's not as telegraphed as it is here. So it's way more effective in that movie. Plus, in The Descent, there's way more of a symbolic meaning to that ending than there is in this one. At least on my first viewing, I didn't find the symbolic meaning in this movie. There might be one here, but in The Descent, it's really fucking clear from the get-go. So while the ending isn't the worst thing ever, it's really hard to feel invested in her and her sister surviving if you know it's just gonna be a dream from the get-go. Anyway, the movie doesn't actually end there. There's a little bit more that happens, but I'm gonna leave that for you to watch for yourself. Because like I said, I actually really do recommend this movie despite my complaint. And it really is only one complaint, so remember that. And with that all said, my fellow Gorehounds, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And as I always say, peace out, my fellow Gorehounds, and I'll catch y'all later. Brought to you in part by a generous donation by the Center for Unease Control.